Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining me. My name is Solomon Izang Ashams. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight as we dig deep and get some more info around the fugitive, as they now call him in South Africa, Shepherd Bushiri. So wherever you are, thank you for joining me. I hope you can hear the sound of my voice from wherever you are. So give me a shout out wherever you are, and I will be sure that I have you. Thank you, Emma Ems. Thank you. I can see you. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Hope you can hear me loud and clear. Thank you so much. Joining me, please, I would want to encourage you to tag somebody. If you're on Facebook or even on our YouTube, please tag somebody that you feel they need to hear this. Wherever you are, please tag them so they can come along. Yes, I see Namibia all the way in the house. I see Los Santos all the way here from Soweto, Natasha from the USA, from China. I see you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining in. And please do subscribe to this YouTube channel. The YouTube channel that I'm on is called Solomon's Temple. I would love to have you there just so you can get some of the videos that I post. There are other videos in there, like I always say, that would definitely benefit you. So please do check it out. Thank you from Pretoria, from Russia, Mankoba, Mabuza, from Johannesburg, from Lesotho Chicks. I see Yvonne from the DRC, Dimpo from Botswana, from Pretoria North, Katie, Shiku from Kenya. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you all the way from Oxford in the UK. Clementia Ade from London. Oga, how you doing now? David from the UK. And I have Siku who is in Kenya. Thank you, guys. Nigeria, Yakubu is here. Germany, as usual. Naomi. Fana from Pretoria. Bana from Zambia. From PE is Bukelwa. Pati from the Republic of Ireland. Refill Way from Kempton Park in Johannesburg. Prophet Daniel from Pretoria. Nobutle from Essex in the UK. Edmund from Namibia. Richard is here. Simon from Tanzania. Sharon from Kempton Park. So we got quite a lot of people here. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. This is going to be under 1 hour as usual. So I'm just going to roll some information that, that we feel is necessary. When I come here to give information, I just feel the information is necessary because sometimes you get like fake news out there. We live in the era of fake news. So there are a lot of fake news out there. And sometimes it's difficult for you to actually really identify which is true and which is not. And I saw quite a lot of people actually retweeting and also sharing fake news. And sometimes I'm sometimes also myself, I fall a victim, and later on I went and researched and like, oh no, this is actually not really a true news. It's a fake news. So there's been a lot of fake news around, the escape of Shepherd Bushiri from South Africa to Lilongwe, Malawi, which is where he's currently residing. There's been a lot of fake news, fake videos also coming out, fake news around the magistrate that actually gave him bail, and her name is Tabeiti, I think. A lot of people were beginning to claim that she is a member of Bushiri's church. And now you cannot just say that without really, it's easy for you to know if she's a member of Bushiri's church. You know the way Bushiri's church members do their thing. They publicize everything on social media and all that. They are not ashamed of that association. Actually, it's something of pride for you to associate yourself with Shepherd Bushiri or the Enlightened Christian Gathering, as they call their church. So that's definitely fake news. If she was a member of that church, trust me, the prosecutors, the police would know, and they would immediately ask her to please recuse herself, to step down, even before the judgment she gave, where she gave him bail for 200,000 and his wife also 200,000 rand, and also gave him very strict bail conditions. So we must be careful that we don't share fake news. If you're not sure, if you want to ask a question, is she a member of Bushiri's church? That we understand. It's a question. So you're trying to interrogate, and the questions normally helps you to interrogate. And that's what it is. If I share anything here, which I'm not sure of, I'll tell you I'm not sure about it, but these are my investigations. So whatever I share, I'm just telling you these are my investigation. That's why sometimes I will bring you solid evidences because I collected them. And sometimes it's about hearsay because you have sources, just like the way any other media would do. You have sources and you can pick these things up. So I would like to again thank you so much for joining me and being with me tonight. Oh, Kishwar, all the way from Pakistan. Wow, that's the farthest I think we have here tonight. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. So, what are we discussing and talking about tonight? Oh, wow. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We've reached the 1,000 viewer mark already. We're on 1,021, 1,016. So we're still going up. Again, I would want to encourage you, please, if you're watching right now on Facebook or on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet to my YouTube channel, Solomon's Temple, can I give you a minute to do that? Please, can I give you a minute to do that? Please subscribe right now, tag other people so they can watch, share this video, just so they can watch also as we share together some of the findings that I have discovered today. So I'm going to share with you some of the findings that I have discovered. And it will be up to you to make your judgment. Gone are the days where we go to churches where they tell you things and that's the final authority. We also need to question things. That's very important. Yes. Just a few minutes here. Gonna do this. I'm trying to get some information that I got together. Trying to get some information that I got together. Just one moment. Just one moment. Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about tonight? As you all know, we're talking about how Bushiri was smuggled out. Where was he smuggled out of? He was smuggled out of South Africa, where he's been a resident for the last 5 years. He's been visiting South Africa way before then, I think right from 2011. He's been resident here, not just him, him and his wife. And they now took their kids back home to Malawi. So their kids they have 2 girls, so their kids do not live with them whilst they were resident in South Africa. Their kids were back home in Malawi. So now this is the most popular couple in Africa right now. They're so popular that everybody is talking about them locally, across the African continent, and also internationally. The prophet who ran away, the fake prophet who ran away. That's what we're going to be looking at. So this is them together. And we all know that the 2 of them were arrested last year. Just to give you another recap, they were arrested last year for money laundering because he bought a Gulfstream private jet for, I think, about $1.5 million. And he claimed that he was loaned that money by a certain organization. And there was some investigation by the South Africa Reserve Bank, and they discovered, the owners of the business actually said, no, we never loaned him money. Matter of fact, we don't even know who he is. Matter of fact, the signature, part of the documents that he submitted to you, that we loaned him this money, the signature was actually fake. So that's the dilemma that they were in the first case. And he spent, with his wife Mary, they spent about 10 days in prison last year for money laundering. And that case, the trial is set to begin in July of 2021. 2021, the trial was set to begin until a couple of weeks ago, when they were now also arrested again, this time for money laundering, for fraud, and I think 3 different charges. And they spent about 16 days in prison, the Hosimampuru prison in Pretoria, South Africa, where they appeared before the magistrate several times, arguing their case to get bailed or not. And remember, they were charged, so they pleaded not guilty, which is obviously what anybody that's taken to court does. The first time is you plead, are you guilty or not guilty? You're not guilty. And then they look at if they're going to give you bail or not give you bail, and then give them time to investigate, the prosecutor and the defense to get ready, and then come back again, and then get a good time where the trial would now commence to find out if you were guilty or not guilty. But he got bailed, obviously, and it's okay to get bail. Everybody deserves to get bail. He submitted his passport, because he was basically an international flight risk, and he was restricted to within the province that Johannesburg is located, and also the province neighboring Johannesburg, where he has a business, a hotel called Sparkling Waters Hotel, which he has been running for quite a while. That hotel is another brothel where he has raped a lot of women, where he has molested and slept with a lot of women at the Sparkling Waters Hotel. Not that, a lot of the workers, the staff at that hotel are Malawians, and they're here working at that hotel illegally. They do not have working visa to work there. Because the virtue of the fact that they are a Southern African country, they can come into South Africa for a month, go back to the border, renew their permit, and then come back again. So technically, you're not even allowed to work, to live and work in South Africa. But he has them there. They're the ones that are working for him. And allegedly, he owes investors and whatever, I think about 200 million straight out of that business in itself. What's going to happen to the business now? That's the big question, that hotel. Anyway, he was bailed, and he was given conditions to appear before the police Monday between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. every Monday, and also every Friday. So twice a week between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. appear before the police and report. So you would sign that you were available. And also they had to pay 200,000 rand each to be bailed. He was also given the condition, do not intimidate, threaten, or talk about the prosecutor, or talk about some of the witnesses and all that kind of thing. So there were other other restrictions that he was given, and that was a Wednesday. So about a week later, he absconded and left the country. And the next thing, like I said yesterday, I was the first to break the news. Everywhere, I was the first to make the news publicly on social media or any sort of media. I did that on a Friday, and the mainstream media and everybody only got the news on Saturday afternoon. And when I wrote this, people actually didn't really believe what I was saying or agree with what I was saying. But the fact of the matter is, we now have a situation where he left the country. He left the country, So technically he jumped bail. How did he leave the country? That's the questions that people have been asking. Even the media that interviewed him, how did you leave the question? How did you leave the country? And he claimed that he's so emotional that he could not give them an answer. Another Bushiri classic. Another Bushiri's classic. How did he leave the country? I'm going to share with you tonight just two ways that he might have left the country. But I'm convinced that one of the ways, is the way he left the country. I'm totally convinced about that based on my sources and people I've spoken to and information I've gathered. Obviously, he had to jump bail, like I said yesterday, because there are other people involved, powerful people, powerful politicians involved. One of them a government minister. Ironically, they've been sharing the loot. He's been sharing the loot, the money that he's been defrauding people in the name of Forex, in the name of investment scheme. He's been sharing the loot with these people. They're aware of it. Maybe some sort of protection money. You know the way they do it. If you're a criminal and you're operating in certain places, you need to pay protection money. The drug dealers do it. If you're a drug dealer or like nightclubs, nightclubs that operate in certain areas, you need to pay the gangsters around there, or the underground criminals around there protection money. If you don't, then they're going to give you problems. So you need to pay them protection money, and you allow them also to come around and sell drugs around your area. A lot of it happens, especially like in Cape Town. You can read about it and see how the way because it's a business, it's an underworld business, it's a business in itself. It might be illegal, but for some people, that's where they get their daily bread from, which is really sad. So currently today, just to bring you to speed, currently today, before I even shared the two ways that I felt he left the country and which one for me really makes sense. Currently today, Bushiri and his wife Mary's bail was revoked. So his bail was revoked. So currently today, he officially became a fugitive. That means he's somebody on the run. His bail was revoked officially because a warrant of arrest was issued today for his arrest. And the South African government is really going all out, and also because now it has gone way past just the police, the hawks, the courts. It's involved the government now. So the South African government has gone all out to also inform the Interpol, that is the international police, just so anywhere you travel geographically across certain regions, you could be arrested. They don't need to only arrest you in Malawi. You could be arrested also in anywhere. So South African government and authorities are putting everything together now to submit to the Malawian authorities for them to look at, and then they would begin to talk on how or if it is possible to get him extradited back to South Africa to face justice. So once he's arrested right now, there's no issue of bail anymore because the bail has been revoked. He's going straight to prison. He's going to be in prison for the duration of his trial, of his case. So that's what it is right now. Now, for a lot of people, I want to first share with you how powerful Bushiri is in Malawi. He's very powerful in Malawi. That's why he ran to Malawi. He didn't run to Dubai, where he has his money also stashed there. In Malawi, he's very powerful because he has invested over the years millions in the political careers of many politicians and also different political parties. At one point, there was the aspiration for him to run for president. He's very ambitious. Now, if you remember the first female president of Namibia, of Malawi, Mrs. Joyce Banda, when she was not re-elected into her office, she left Malawi and came to South Africa. And he was actually the one that took care of her settling down in Namibia. She used to go to his church, just to tell you how powerful. So I want you to understand how powerful and how influential Shepherd Bushiri is in his nation, country home country, Malawi. He's got politicians in his pocket. He's done favors for them. So he's smart enough to invest in politicians. You know, so there are ministers, currently serving ministers or former ministers, who would do him a favor right now. So that's why I said it's going to be difficult for him to to be extradited. He has people that will block that. Well, here's a short video. I just want you to watch this video. By the way, this video was making the rounds as a recent video, but this is not a recent video. This video was like, I think, about 2-3 years ago. So this is not a recent video. If you see it online, this is not a recent video. But this video would showcase and exhibit to you the intensity of his influence across the different spheres in the society. Watch this video. This was supposed to be some sort of an official welcoming of Bushiri back home. I mean, coming to South Africa and making it big. So now you're popular. They know you. You have money. The whole thing is he invested in these politicians, and he was like, "Look, hey, you need to showcase me." So I'm like, "Okay, let's organize, you know, some sort of an event for you and all that kind of stuff." And people packed the stadium. Watch this.
On behalf of His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, I am here to deliver a message of goodwill and support on behalf of His Excellency to you here today. Prophet Bushiri, it is therefore very pleasing to note that you as a Malawian are reaching out and touching many souls through your prophetic and healing messages. We understand that the lives of many people have been transformed and their situations.
Well, that is just a bit of something to look at. I mean, what did you see there? Can you see the crowd? Can you see just how influential? You know, if you watch this video, it gives you some sort of an idea of how influential this person is in his nation, in Malawi. So there's no any other place you would expect him to run to except to run back home. Because at home, he knows he can pull the strings. He has certain people in his pocket. He still has quite a lot of money that he stole from people here in South Africa, you know, that he could use. He has businesses there that he could use. He's not a good businessman. He's a bad businessman because all he was doing was stealing from people. You know, for me, Bushiri is not. He can claim that he's a good businessman, all that kind of stuff, and tell people, but he's not a businessman. You know, he's not a businessman at all. You know, so just to tell you how influential. That's why when I say it's going to be difficult for him to be extradited, he's going to fight. Right? He gave 5 demands to the South African government if they want him to come back. And you see, each of those demands, there's no way, he knows that there's no way the South African government is going to adhere, is going to bow down to his demands. So he gave the demands, obviously unrealistic. So the South African government would say, no, we cannot, they will not even negotiate that with him. Then he will begin to point fingers. You see, I told them that I want to go back and face the trial. I want to go back to court, but they're refusing to let me come in. They're refusing, you know, so he's going to be blaming others, but he's never going to blame himself. So you see the way the whole thing is like a really simple, you know, strategy, criminal strategy, but, you know, that's what he's trying to do, where he's going to point fingers to everybody except himself. And that's what he's going to do, right? So all that, you know, doesn't just really make sense because it's just part of his gimmicks, and I'm just trying to get people into thinking that he really wants to go back and he's not running away and all that kind of stuff. But he's gonna fight. He's gonna fight with everything he's got in Malawi. He's gonna fight. You think he's gonna come back? They're gonna extradite him next month or in 2 months or in 6 months? No. If they do extradite him, it's gonna be years. That is if they actually got him. You know, if they actually got him. I think they might. Maybe, maybe not. Why maybe? Because of this man. This is President Lazarus Chakwera. He's the current president of the nation of Malawi. He won the election a couple of months ago, and now he's there. Now, I want you to go and do research on this man before you actually decide who this man is or what he represents. This man is a man of integrity. This man is a very ethical man. This man actually did his first degree here in South Africa, University of the North. He did a theological degree. He did his master's also in South Africa with the University of South Africa, UNISA. Before he went to the USA, did his PhD, and then he became a professor with the Assemblies of God at Theological College in Malawi. And then he headed the Assemblies of God in Malawi for so many years before he now went into politics. Now, this is the hope of Malawi. This is the hope. If you're hoping that Bushiri will come down here, this is the hope. Even though Bushiri has a lot of people, politicians in his pocket, but a lot of the politicians that he had, a lot of them are not in power right now because this man here doesn't represent just anybody. Yes, he came into coalition with other political parties and all that, but he is somebody who is a straight talker. But he will allow the rule of law to take preeminent, but he is a straight talker. So the fact that people are even contemplating and saying that, look, he actually organized for Bushiri to skip South Africa, you know, when he came to visit the president of South Africa last week for 2 days, you know, for me, it's very laughable because people don't know the man. That's why they're saying that. He wouldn't tolerate that. Does Bushiri has people in power, people in government and all that? Yes, he does. Very much. Very much. Now, in his press conference, Bushiri said that he was going to, he had going to be meeting the government on a Monday to state his case. But the government said, no, we don't have any appointment with Bushiri on a Monday. That's the Malawian government. We don't know about it. There's no any communication between us. So we don't actually know what he's talking about. So that brings me to my first reason on how Bushiri was smuggled out. There are two scenarios how he was smuggled out. I'll give you the first scenario and then give you the second scenario, and I will tell you, for me, based on my investigation and what I've gathered, this is how he was smuggled out. The first scenario was, he was smuggled out via the presidential team and the flight that came from Malawi to South Africa. The president of Malawi and his entourage were in South Africa last week for 2 days, and they left on Friday, visiting the president of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa. And it was coincidental that just when they left and landed in Malawi, that was when the news about Bushiri's escape now came out. So a lot of people were actually saying, no, the president of Malawi, when he came here, they had plans to take him along. The president of Malawi knew about it, that the team knew about it. So it was all planned, that there was a team that actually came before the president arrived, because obviously, normally when a president is visiting any country, that you send a team. I've forgotten what they call them. You send a team ahead first to go there and make sure everything is okay before you now arrive. Maybe the team will go ahead maybe 3 days, 4 days, or a week before the president arrives, just so accommodation and everything, everything is sorted out anyway. So that's the case of that. So they said when they were living, they had planned and they now smuggled him into the flight and now left with him to Malawi. So there's been accusations all across the radio stations in South Africa and all that about the role that the president of Malawi played, about the role that the visit by the president of Malawi to South Africa actually, helped Bushiri to escape with his wife, Mary. So we need to look at that scenario very carefully. And also remember that when the Malawian president and his team were departing South Africa back to Malawi on Friday, they were thoroughly searched. They were delayed actually for a long time because the police and the immigration officers took their time, because they had known that Bushiri is nowhere to be found because he didn't report. Remember, he was supposed to report to the police on a Monday and on a Friday. So the Friday he never reported. So they actually delayed them and searched them, but they could not get any trace. That's why the South African government, had to come out and say, look, based on our investigation, Bushiri, it's not possible that Bushiri left with the presidential team. It's not possible actually that Bushiri actually flew. I said it yesterday. I said the last thing that Bushiri would do is to fly. I totally disagree that he flew out of South Africa. How? Where? He has no passport. And I told you yesterday, I seriously believe that Bushiri left this country without a passport. And it's possible because you can corrupt anybody on your way out of the country. Most of the guys you see at the borders, most of the police forces, officers, they have a price. If you offer them a good price, they will give you whatever you want. They will let you through without a passport. So if he was smuggled through the presidential jet and the presidential team Malawian presidential team that came to South Africa, how did they do it then? How were they able to get him through the immigration? How were they able to get him on the flight? Because whichever way Bushiri left the country, he left illegally. And he actually entered Malawi illegally because he entered Malawi without a passport or with a fake passport. So that in itself is illegal. So let's not even look at the legalities of it. Is it by coincidence that the presidential team was here at the same time and Bushiri now disappeared? Remember, the presidential team, the president of Malawi's visit to South Africa was not even supposed to happen last week. It was supposed to happen months before. But because of the lockdown and COVID-19, everything needed to be adjusted. So a lot of people were asking questions. Why did they adjust it to this time? And fair enough. You can ask all these questions. Why did you reschedule? When did they reschedule? That's where we should be asking questions. Did they reschedule after Bushiri was arrested? Or long before Bushiri was arrested? I would think long before, because that's the way presidential decisions are made. You're visiting a country like months ahead. That's how their schedule works, right? So if they smuggled him, how did they really do that? How did they do that? How did they get him out of the country? Did they put them in boxes and push them through the terminal? How did they go through security? And with all the footage in the airport, OR Tambo, obviously, there's also a private, because he's presidential, so he came in on a private jet and landed at an airport in Pretoria, South Africa, called Waterkloof. So that's where private jets and VVIP, that's where they land. That's where the Guptas got to land also, unfortunately, before they ran away to Dubai, just like Bushiri. But still, there are securities and there are processes and there are cameras everywhere. But the South African intelligence and the security forces were not able to pick any sort of evidence to say, that is fishy, that is funny. Just maybe they disguised themselves. Just maybe they were put in luggages and boxes or whatever. It's possible. Because the leader of Volkswagen recently, earlier during the year or so, he was smuggled from Tokyo in Japan all the way to Beirut in Lebanon. Private jet hired to Turkey, Istanbul, and then down there. But he was in a box because he had to flee, because he felt he was going to spend a lot of years in prison in Japan. He felt he was being victimized. You can Google it and check it out. So what do you think about that scenario? Because a lot of people are thinking, a lot of people are asking questions. Yeah, I mean, the guy that was smuggled from Tokyo is actually from Nissan. Thanks for the correction. He was the global head of Nissan, and I think Renault also. He has, I think he has Brazilian citizenship, Lebanese citizenship, and I think French citizenship also. But still. So we have a situation here where there's a lot of news making the rounds that he was smuggled through the presidential flight and the presidential team that came to visit. But when I look at it very well and based on the evidences that are there, I don't see how. I do not see how. Because by now, this is like day 2 or day 3. By now, there should be some sort of something, a video or something, when you go through an airport. And one of the last places that, if I was Bushiri, one of the last places I would want to set my foot on is the airport, in trying to run away. That's one of the last places, because there's like security all over. It's cameras all over. Why can't I just go drive and then go through the borders? The borders are porous. There are a lot of places where you can go through without going through immigration. And people do that every day. From Mozambique, they come in. From From Zimbabwe, they come in. A lot of people do that every single day. From Swaziland, they come in. So if you look at it carefully and critically, you sort of like, this doesn't really make sense. But I'll take you to the second option. You know, how he was smuggled. The first option is he was smuggled with the presidential team that came, and they took him with. Right? So did they bribe certain people? Maybe some government officials. Remember, there are powerful government people that are involved in this Bushiri scam. And they want him to get out because he was in prison before he got bailed, and he was beginning to speak. He was beginning to threaten and say, look, hey, I'm not going to go down alone. I know powerful people that if I go down, they go down too. So obviously, if I was a government minister, I would be like, hey, this guy is beginning to be like a parrot. He's definitely going to speak one day. How about we just get him out of the country, let him go, just so we can, you know, he doesn't discredit us, because our political careers are more important than anything, right? So that's the first scenario. Well, the second scenario, which is a scenario that I think happened, is he was smuggled by road. He was smuggled by road from Johannesburg all the way to Malawi. From Johannesburg to Malawi, non-stop, is 26 hours. So it takes you about a day of driving. So obviously then you have to stop over in a whole lot of places. Now, smuggled by road, what are the possibilities of being smuggled by road? Now, if you want to be smuggled by road, then you have to really get professional people to help you, because there's no way Bushiri is going to just plan everything himself and go. It doesn't work that way. So from my investigation, I found out that he actually hired and paid car syndicates. Now, there are professional car syndicates, in case you don't know. Some South Africans know about it. There are professional car syndicates. Their job is to get orders. So you might be in Malawi or Zim. You get orders, somebody saying, look, I want a Maybach. I want a Rolls Royce. So you promise you're going to get them for a cheaper price. So you now get in touch with your connection in South Africa, where they would go and hijack the same car. You give them the specification, this model, even this color, you give it to them, and then they will go and hijack it. There's a lot of car hijack in South Africa, too much. So they go hijack the Mercedes-Benz or the Maybach or the Rolls-Royce, and then they smuggle it across the bridge, across the border to Malawi, where there is a buyer already. Maybe he had actually made down payment. So you order, and then they hijack, that car hijackers here, hijack it. So then connection with the people in the look, hey, you know, we have an order. We need a 4x4 Toyota, or we need a Rolls Royce, this model. Can you get it for us? No, fine. So the guys down here would go steal, hijack the car, get it. As soon as they get it, the guys in Malawi would pay them up, and then they take it over. So now the thing is, how do they take it over? And remember, this is a syndicate. So the people that hijack in South Africa are not on the same team with the other guys. No. These guys are just hijackers here. They hijack, they sell. Those guys are not on the same team. And the guys that smuggle the cars across the border are not even on the same team. That's their job. Their job is to get it from here in South Africa, smuggle it across the border to Malawi or Zimbabwe. They get paid. The guy who made the order gets the car. He takes it to the person who demanded for the car. He gets paid. That's right, everybody. So it's a syndicate. You might think, you know, Solomon, this is like, that's the way it works. It's a syndicate. It's a business. Illegitimate, you know, not a legit business, but it's a business. And it works for a lot of them. Now, we have to look at the syndicate, the one who takes the car from South Africa and smuggles it into Malawi. That's who we have to look at. How do they even do that? Do they go through the border? Do they use a different route? Right? And that's what happens. Let me show you, just so you know that the depth of car smuggling in South Africa, and not from South Africa, and not just car smuggling, but also human trafficking. This is part of the news. Captions around the news in the last few years, just to let you know that, look, stealing luxurious cars is a big business. They don't steal cheap cars. They steal expensive cars, which was ordered by somebody out there. So this was Malawians arrested for stealing luxury cars in South Africa. Here's another headline here. Car smuggling. Hawks, that is the police, blame corrupt officials for boom in cross-border syndicate. It's big business, people. Cross-border syndicate. You steal cars here, you take it across. Easy money. Nobody's going to trace it. It's gone. And here's another one here by one of the border posts. Illicit trafficking of vehicles across Bidbridge border post. Bidbridge border post is another border post. So you've seen how they operate. Here's another one. This is trafficking victims. This is rescuing trafficking victims in Malawi, people that have been trafficked. So they also traffic people. Malawi children falling victim to human traffickers. So they traffic children. And when you traffic anything, when you are a smuggler, you don't go through the right route. Even if you go through the right route, through the border post, everybody there has been paid, has been bribed. So you're going to have a smooth transition without checking your papers, without checking, do you have this? Do you have the right documentations? Is this car a stolen car? No. So if these syndicates can smuggle cars, what makes you think they're not going to smuggle people easily? Because they know the route. The syndicate, they know the route. They have their people, from the immigration people to the police to everybody. They have their people. Because when they bring these stolen items or whatever they want to smuggle, either people or vehicles, it has to be smooth. Nobody stops them. It has to be smooth because they paid everybody. And based on my investigation, that is what happened with Bushiri. Bushiri paid a lot of money to car smuggling syndicates who, that's their business. They know this thing. They know the route. They have the connections, and they promise, we're going to get you over there. I mean, we smuggle vehicles. You are going to be cheap target. A cheap thing to smuggle. So from my investigation, he was smuggled after paying car syndicate who now smuggled him, but they didn't smuggle them together, Mary and Shepherd. Because of the risk, they were smuggled one after the other. So she went ahead and then he followed. Because if they stay together and if they get caught, then the two of them would have to go back to prison. So it's better you get one than get the both of them. And that was how they planned it. And they were smuggled through, they traveled separately. When did they travel? To be honest with you, I don't know. But all I know is Monday last week, a week ago, they went to the police, which was part of their bail condition, and signed that they are, and reported that they are still in the country, observing all the conditions, the bail conditions. But they had to go ahead. Remember, they had no passports. They submitted all their passports. But when it comes to smuggling, you can go through it without you don't need a passport to go through it. So these guys would organize, this is the time we're living, this is how we're living, and this is how you're probably going to disguise yourself. Even if you don't disguise yourself, it's fine. We paid our guys. but we're going to hide you somewhere. And we're going to make sure that we get you across the border. Now, there is a border post in a place called Manguchi, which is southern Malawi. And that was the border post that he allegedly used in southern Malawi, Manguchi. And a lot of the car smugglers, luxury cars stealing syndicate, they use that outpost, for them to be able to go there. And that's one of the places that actually that he uses to go through. That he uses to go through, and that's where they allegedly got him through. Because if you look at the first option where he went through the airport, the security, the South African authorities, they went through the security footage from all airports. No sign of Bushiri. Immigration officials at all posts being questioned. Everywhere. So he was smuggled because he didn't live here legally. There's nothing to tell you. There's no record to tell you that he left legally. And Bushiri he's a crime. He's a criminal himself. So he would look at the best way with less risk to get out of the country, because he knew that's his best bet. If he doesn't want to spend the next 15 years in prison and afterwards get deported, because that was what was going to happen, then he might as well just leave now. And that's what he did. And for my investigation, he was smuggled by these car syndicates who come here to get luxury cars, who transport luxury cars across the border. They steal here, car hijackers steal, they give it to them, sell it to them, they take it across, and they sell it there for cheaper, obviously. Stolen cars. So, he has to look for the best option that is low risk, option that is better, and an option that is a bit more assuring. Because on the road to the border post or whatever, you have money, you can pay anything. You can pay and get your, police will look at you, they know you're Bushiri, but okay, how about a 500,000? We'll let you go. And then they will let him go. And Shepard would pay anything to regain his freedom, so-called freedom in Malawi. So for me, if you ask me how Bushiri and Mary escaped South Africa, they were smuggled by luxury car syndicates. They never flew out of South Africa. It's too high risk. He's a criminal. He's not going to fly. He's a criminal. All eyes on him. There's so much security at the airports. He's not going to fly. But when it comes to road, when it comes to going through the border, much easier. And also he has the backing of organized crime car syndicates. They know the route. They know the people on the road. They've been working with the immigration officers, with the police on the road. No problem. Nobody's going to stop us. Even if anything's get complicated, we know the brigadier, we know the top people. We'll bribe, we'll go ahead. Nobody's even going to know about it. If they do stop us, they're just stopping us because they want money. And we're going to pay them and we're going to move on. So it was totally a very guerrilla type approach. And I think that was the best approach for him, because any other way he tried to do that, he's definitely not going to work. Definitely not going to work. Definitely not going to work for him. So for me, I'm just trying to help you understand and try to answer the question of how did he leave? How did he go? He has no passports. How did it happen? How did he fly? Did he fly? Did he do? No, too risky. He was smuggled. Just to tell you the depth, the evil, the criminal mind that Bushiri has. he thought about this option, or somebody brought this option to him and he bought it. And he went, and now he's in some sort of freedom in Malawi and not disclosing how he left. But that's how he left. It's sad, but it's the truth. He has to do what he has to do to get out. He knew what was coming. And he also knew that, the politicians and the powerful government people that are part of this whole scam want him out also. So he had to look for the best option to leave. Is he going to come back? He's too powerful in Malawi. The guy is like powerful. It's more powerful than a lot of politicians because, come to think about it, he has money. He's moneyed. Corruption has really wiped Malawi, unfortunately. Over the years, too corrupt. At least now they have a better president, and there's hope for them. And that's what it is. I think there are Bushiri supporters and all that, they're here. They're not happy that I'm talking about it. But he's powerful. But there is a God. There is a God. Bushiri, there's a God. There's a God in heaven. There is a God of justice. And he's going to get you. South African authorities, police may not get you. In Malawi, he can do anything to evade. He can pay the judges. Easy peasy. He can pay them up. He has powerful people that can delay his extradition, that can actually push and make sure there's nothing like that is going to happen. But the good thing also, though, is now he's going to be restricted to Malawi. He cannot travel and sleep with women and deceive people and create fake miracles like he used to. That's part of the good thing, because now Interpol, international police, is involved. There's God, not just to shepherd, but to every false prophet. Them Nana Poku, Johnson Suleiman, Pastor Chris. There's a God. The wicked run, even though no one is chasing them. They know spiritually what they've done, the evil that they've committed. The evil has extracted all the peace that they're supposed to be enjoying. There's a God. Nanapoku, there's a God. Mboro, there's a God. Zondo. When I was rethinking today how I've been on this thing for over 10 years now, exposing prophets, when nobody believed me, when a lot of people thought I was joking, a lot of people thought I had issues. I was jealous, I was sent, I was this, I was that. And to begin to look at some of the names of some of the people that have actually either run away or are in prison now, I looked and like, God, thank you. Amotosho, thank you. Alf Lukao, thank you. At least he's out of the picture. Bushiri, thank you. Zondo, thank you. At least he's being exposed. And there are a lot of local South African pastors, apostles, and bishops and prophets that are doing dodgy stuff, very dodgy stuff. They're not just as proficient as the ones from other African countries coming in here, but we have them. There's a God in heaven. When justice comes, No man can run away from it. And evil attracts justice. Evil attracts justice. A justice that is bigger than the justice of the courts in our countries. A justice from heaven. A justice that is true. A justice that gives you exactly what you deserve. A justice that actually is late because you get opportunities to repent and to change your ways. But if you don't, it will come on you as a hammer. And it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be nice. Save your soul. So thank you guys. That was actually what I wanted to share. I wanted to share with you that based on my investigation, Bushiri left by road and he was aided and helped by luxury car syndicates that move cars. If you don't know that, it's a big business, stealing cars, expensive cars here in South Africa and taking them to Zimbabwe or taking them over to Malawi. It's big business. It's big business. This has been going off. It's organized crime, like mafia type. It's organized crime. But think about it. People want to see justice. We all want to see justice, like right now. But it's not going to happen. The wheel of justice is slow and slow and slow. Because everybody deserves an opportunity, even if they're guilty. For some of you guys, if I give you a gun now and Bushiri is here, you just blow his brain. But that would be wrong of you to blow his brain. We need to hear him first. And he doesn't deserve to die. I know he's killed many people, that I can tell you. I know he's killed his enemies, that I can tell you. I know he's killed a lot of babies. Girls that he got pregnant, give him money, go commit abortions. I know he's done that. But it's not an eye for an eye. But yes, there's a punishment for it. So thank you guys. Really appreciate you. Please share this video. And I haven't read some of your comments, but I hope what I shared makes sense. And also, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. I really appreciate your subscription. Just watch and see that Bushiri is going to be restricted to just Malawi. Watch it. Bushiri cannot travel anywhere. It's finished for him. It's finished. Where would he go to? If he goes to Europe, it's going to be worse for him. Much worse for him. The safest place that he has to be is Malawi, because he can pull the strings there. As you watch the video, he's very powerful and influential there. And he's home. So the Malawian government is actually supposed to protect him as a citizen. They need to give him some sort of protection and listen to him. So watch as time, watch the next couple of months. He's not going to go anywhere. He can't do nothing. He's finished. Watch his churches in South Africa. They're going to be shutting down one by one because the church was built as a one-man show. And that's the danger when you build a church as a one-man show. When the pastor is if the pastor is not there, nothing happens. If the pastor is not there, people do not come to church. If the prophet is not there, nothing happens. That's how all his church, his branches are going to crumble. Give them 6 months. Even some of his pastors are going to take away the congregation and go start their churches, because a lot of his pastors are just like him, evil and greedy. He knows that. They know that too. There was his pastors that he fired a couple of months ago. They came to me and I helped them. He fired them. They're Malawians. Out of nowhere, they contacted me and I helped them. I took them to the Sierra Rights Commission, put pressure, and he had to pay them. Because he wasn't ready to pay them anything. Just fired them because they disagreed with him on certain things. If I was just buy my thing, do my own thing, I wouldn't even listen to them. But it's not that. The fact is, He didn't give them what he promised he would give them. And for me, I don't care who that case is between. Even if it's between somebody who's righteous and somebody who's a murderer, you promise you're going to pay them this if they work this way, and you never paid them, there needs to be justice. You need to pay them. So his church is going to crumble. A lot of the people that are, maybe he's going to become like TB Joshua, just inviting people to Malawi and flying all his girls over there because he needs to be sleeping with them for him to be able to have those, his occultic and magic powers. Yes, brute of viper indeed. He can't go anywhere. Bushiri is finished. Like I said, he anyway, I'm not even gonna say much. Just watch the timeline. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you will see what's gonna happen to him. He's a fugitive. He's a fugitive. And by virtue of the fact that he's a VIP, the same thing. There's a guy that we did the same thing. He's called Angel Bazooka. He's a Ghanaian prophet here in Soweto in Johannesburg. He was raping women, taking money from people. We had to put him up, and he had to be arrested, spend a month in jail, came out, and jumped bail. He's in Ghana now. He cannot travel out of Ghana. He's just in Ghana. He cannot come to South Africa anymore. He made so much money here. He's built a mansion in Kumasi in Ghana. And he's just a witch doctor, not a pastor, witch doctor. He sleeps with women, rape women. He's like obsessed. I mean, he abused me. He made a video. You can check it on my YouTube channel. He made a video and abused me, my parents, my mom, and everybody. But you see, for me, when a charlatan, when somebody who's a witch doctor abuses me, you're just wasting your time. I know who I am in Christ. I know my identity. So I'm not afraid for a witch doctor to curse or abuse me, because he's not going to go anywhere. It's just words of nothing. If that works, I would have been dead a long time ago, because I know what a lot of people have, how far they've gone to just to quiet me. But Bushiri is not going to be here anytime soon. We'll follow the story. But he's been rendered partially ineffective. He's still going to be making noise because he loves the limelight. He thinks he's a celebrity. He's still going to be giving interviews and trying to say this and trying to say that and putting himself in more trouble. But he's somebody who's been obsessed. The devil put so much pride in him and so much obsession with things that he has lost. He has lost it, not knowing that the devil is just going to put him into more and more trouble where he cannot come out, because he's willingly allowed himself to be used by the devil and to destroy people, to steal from people. But at the end of the day, the devil will also destroy him. That's what is going to happen. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Solomon's Temple. Please subscribe right now as we go off. I appreciate your time and appreciate that you could listen to my investigation based on the people who've spoken to in Malawi and also people around the country and some of the facts and that's just there. But we keep going on. We keep going on and on to see what is going to happen. But all Bushiri and his fake miracles and everything is now gone down the drain. And there's nothing you can do about it. Unfortunately, this happened in South Africa. If this had happened in other African country where the government is not so powerful, where the government is not so is extremely corrupt. You think South African government is corrupt? Wait until you go to my country or you go to other African countries like Kenya, Ghana. And Ghana is even not even so corrupt as it used to. Congo. Go to all these places. You will see corruption. Bushiri would have a field day. But because he's South Africa, they would follow him. They will follow him. But I don't think he would ever come back here. Bushiri would use his last money to stay back in Malawi because he knows what is going to be waiting for him here. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Keep praying, keep hoping, and I pray that you would have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. And let's keep asking questions. All I'm doing is to try to ask questions. Let's keep asking questions. God bless you and have a good night.